Hypocrisy.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Law-Splaining the Interwebs. I am your host, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small, actually criminal law firm in central Minnesota. How's it going? Hi. Good to see you. I don't see you, but you know what I mean. Hey, so I am here to give you an update on day 20 of the Karen Read trial. Well, a recap of day 20 of the Karen Read trial, highlight moments for me, and what we can expect going into week 6. We had the closeout of the week happening with some mousy woman on the stand, but her testimony was interrupted by this doctor who is like a vampire, and he, I think, is my favorite witness so far. He's been one of the most reliable state witnesses, and the big move, I guess, the big tell of this witness is that the defense really didn't go after him at all. So I do have some clips to play from it, but let's just give an update on where we are. We are nearing the end of the state's case in chief. It has been 5 weeks of testimony from their witnesses. We have maybe a couple days left. They have said that they're ahead of schedule, so we should have them ending up by the middle of the week. At the latest, I would assume Wednesday probably, and then we should be moving on to the defense's case in chief, and that's when things will get interesting as we get ARCA testimony into the case and see if they call Detective Proctor or any of the other witnesses that did not make it in from last time. So that should be a pretty interesting sort of change of pace for how the trial watching has been going. And we'll see the defense's strategy coalesce around their witnesses, around their, their examination schedule, their direct examination schedule, I should say, and how they deal with redirect following cross-examination by the state. And that will be, again, we'll see their theory of the case coalesce with that forensic analysis on their side. They get to tell their factual story, and they really need to counter, again, this consciousness of guilt by Karen. They need to start shifting that guilt onto the shoddy investigation of the state, and they need to do so very intentionally. They're hampered a little bit because, Judge Cannoni rejected their request to have an expert in crime scene investigation come in and talk about just how terrible the state's case or the state's information gathering has been. And so without that expert to come in, they have to do it through the witnesses themselves. They have to talk about how proper, investigation should be done in any way that they can kind of get that in there without just having a dedicated witness to it. So that'll be part of their strategy. We'll see how that unfolds as it happens. But my favorite part of day 20 and the best part of the recap, and I think a really important part for both the state and the defense. So I think all around, it's just a good set of moments was the examination of this guy, a doctor. I think it's Dr. Wolf. Isn't that like isn't there another Dr. Wolf? But this is a neurosurgeon, and he is we're just going to watch his qualifications here on direct examination, how he presents himself, and then we're going to pop over and see how the cross-examination ends up with him, because I think both of those things are just critical elements of what happened on this day. So without further ado, here's Dr. Wolf sitting down.
Are you ready, Mr. Brennan?
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Oh shit, you called the Wolf?
Yourself to the jury, spell your first name and last name for the court reporter.
Sure. My first name is
that's all
Isaac,
you had to say.
Aizik. It's phonetic. Last name is Wolf, WOLF, like the real thing.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a brain surgeon.
Is there a special
This guy's cool.
part of medicine that you study?
Well, my main interest in brain surgery is brain tumors and trigeminal neuralgia.
Whoa.
But I also specialize in movement disorders. I do pediatrics and adults.
Are you an active working neurosurgeon?
I am very active working neurosurgeon. I get up
Very
every day
active.
at 4:30 in the morning to go to work, 5 days a week. I take call 300 days out of 365 days a year.
Did you work yesterday?
This guy is
Yes, I did.
What type of work did you
this
do
guy's
yesterday?
awesome.
I did 2 brain surgeries yesterday.
Just 2
Are
brain
you working
surgeries.
tomorrow?
I have 4 surgeries scheduled for tomorrow, which is why this is a little bit delayed for me. And I have 4 on Friday.
And what type of surgeries do you have tomorrow and Friday?
I have 3 brain tumors, 1 trigeminal neuralgia, and on Friday I have 4 patients with movement disorders.
Okay, so you can see this guy is eminently qualified to talk about head injuries. He is unassailable as an expert, and it's really indicative the difference in quality that he has presented versus every other expert that the state has brought in. This guy is trustworthy. His credentials are they're flawless. I mean, he's a guy who you listen to him talk and you're like, how do you make extra time into a reality where it's like a sub-dimension where you've had time to do all of this stuff that like I can barely microwave popcorn some days. And this guy's like, yeah, I've done 16 surgeries this morning while sounding like a vampire. So the state, brings him in and they elicit testimony about injuries in general and various traumas that John O'Keefe suffered. He has a hematoma above his right eye, and he also has a laceration in the back of his head that was been discussed before. And Dr. Wolf here talks about in his testimony about how that trauma to the back of the head could lead to, unconsciousness and also death. It could be complicated by hypothermia, etc. So all that comes out on direct examination. That's great for the state. The state needs to put into evidence that these head injuries are the cause of, are related to John O'Keefe's death. If he dies from something other than a head injury, an injury caused by the Lexus, for example, then they don't have a case. If he just dies from something else. So they have to get the cause of death into the record, and they do. However, I do not believe they actually got the cause of death in the record as being caused by the Lexus itself. That is not the testimony. His testimony was that it could have been caused by by falling on frozen grass, or he could also suffer the injury falling and striking any sufficiently hard object with the back of his head, which ends up being good for the defense. This is how the defense kind of rounds out that testimony and then closes out the questioning. The questioning of the cross-examination of this guy is very, very short, only a few minutes. It's done by attorney Alessi, and you can tell that there's a level of respect and, again, unassailability about this witness that the defense really didn't want to go after him. It wasn't going to be profitable for them. And they got the information that they need because the defense's theory of the case that there was an altercation, or one of the theories, I guess, that there was an altercation and that, John O'Keefe fell and struck his head on something is consistent with the injuries as well. And there was nothing in Dr. Wolf's testimony that limited that. Those facts are now in evidence that a sufficiently hard surface that his head strikes would be able to cause these life-threatening injuries. Wow. Thanks, YouTube.
Dr. Wolf, have you seen this photo depiction before today?
I believe I have.
Is it correct that injury on the upper right eyelid is caused by the application of force directly to that area of the front of the head, again, namely the upper eyelid?
That's possible, yes.
Is it?
All right, so that just establishes that a punch or striking someone with a glass or any object really hitting up here is sufficient to cause that injury, and the injury is consistent with that. Again, that's a fact the defense wants in there, so this witness is not harming them with that testimony. That's excellent testimony for them. Ginger
More than
Chicks is Malcolm
possible,
McDowell.
Is it probable that that injury
Kinda.
was caused by the application of force directly to that area
it's
of
coming
the
to me.
front of his head?
Well, an easy answer to that would be is that that's not part of the periorbital ecchymosis.
Thank you, sir. That was exactly going to be my next question. This injury,
Superiorbital ecchymosis is this condition where basically blood pools behind the eyes. It's caused by, the trauma to the back of the head, and it's indicative that that head injury, could lead to unconsciousness and further, further negative effects, like dying. Specific movie I'm
Is
thinking of, and I don't just
unrelated to
can't get
any
there.
of what you've been describing, the fall backwards, the force transfer inside the skull, the, as you described it, the dura, the cerebral spinal fluid, all of that dynamic that you so ably described on your direct examination. This injury has nothing to do with that, correct?
Correct.
Oh, sorry. Oh, gosh. This little giggle. So here we see they don't know, they're like, oh, well, he just gave us the exact testimony we wanted, that this injury, the hematoma above the eye, has nothing to do with the injury in the back, nor the suborbital. Oh, lawyer, just pissed me off so much because I didn't notice it before. He says, I wish I could fix his collar.
Thank you for answering my questions, Dr. Wolf. A pleasure again. No more
Whoa.
questions at this time, Your Honor.
So there we go. No more questions at this time. Thank you for answering the questions. They have, I can't remember what the stupid thing was. Was it suborbital peritosis? Something like that. It doesn't matter. I'm not a doctor and I'm not the lawyer for the case. You heard it a second ago. Just rewind it. They found out, of course, that that is not related to the hematoma above the eye, nor is his unconsciousness or his death. So if the state's theory again goes back to this car striking him in the head, they similarly have to say how that striking of this man's head with a car, I guess, goes towards his death at the fate of falling on something really, really hard in the back of his head. These are unrelated injuries on their own. One could be the causal, the causal chain starter of the other. That could, the hit in the head could lead to him, I don't know, stumbling and falling and hitting his head again. Of course, that's a possibility, but the state's going to have to show how that happens. And the defense's much more likely theory is, in my opinion, is that he got into an altercation at the house. Again, going back to that health data that they have of 86 steps from where he was found, there's 86 steps registered by his phone. That seems to put him right at the ability to be at the front door of the house. So however any of that happened, we don't know still, but this testimony was not harmful in any way to the defense. In fact, it was helpful. It it rounds out their theory of the injury and puts it in the record to start. Now, any experts they bring in to lend their expertise to the case are able to build on Dr. Wolf's testimony rather than go against it. And doing that is great because again, this guy is highly credible, unassailable on the stand. So being able to take his testimony and say, this is good for us, and then pitch it into their theory is going to be helpful in the long run. So that's that. Like I said, we will see the state wrap up their case probably in the middle of the week, either Wednesday or Thursday, I would think. It seems to be the pacing here. And then we will move on to the defense's case, which I believe they said should last about a week and a half based on how many witnesses they have to bring. and then we'll see what happens. But if you don't know, I am streaming this from 8 a.m. Central Time through the end of trial each day. So please join me. Day 21 starts on the 27th. I mean, this video is coming out, right before right before the trial starts. So come join me 8 a.m. Central Time or anytime during the day. And yeah, watch for more of these videos. Hope you enjoy it. If you do, like, subscribe, all that stupid stuff, leave comments. Everything is great. Talk to you soon. Have a good day. Peace. Peace. End the thing. End the recording.